Hi everyone! Today I will introduce AR/AP settlements by SYSTRONICS. In the course of business, it happens so that you both buy from and sell to the same entity, which means that the same entity is both a customer and a vendor for you. Currently, in Sage 300, you have to define a separate customer and a separate vendor, and the application does not provide a way to link one to another. As a result, you have to deal with their documents, such as invoices, credit notes, receipts, etc., separately as if they are not connected in any way. Hence, the user might need to keep records about such entities separately and spend considerable amount of time to settle their documents. AR/AP settlements allows you to link customers and vendors and settle their transactions with each other. Moreover, it allows you to check the cumulative balance of the entity by adding the transaction balances of all linked vendor and customer documents. Now let's see how the application actually works. One of the key concepts of AR/AP settlements is the settlement group. Settlement group lets you link customers and vendors. For example, in group 5 in the sample company, we have one customer linked to 3 vendors. In group 6, we have multiple customers linked to multiple vendors. Please note that the customers and vendors can have different currencies and their documents can still be settled against each other. AR/AP settlements also allows to have one-sided groups, which means that you can have only vendors in one group or only customers in the same group. This means that you can settle the documents of one vendor with the documents of another vendor. The same is applicable for the customers. The documents of linked customers and vendors are settled by creating and posting settlement entries. Let's go to the settlement entry screen. First, I will select the group for which I want to create the settlement. Let's select group 5. On the Receivables tab, you can see all the open documents of the customers included in the group. So I have just one customer in this group, and here are the open documents and their balances. On the Payables tab, I can see open documents and balances of all the vendors included in the settlement group 5. I have 3 different vendors here. There are 3 ways to settle documents in the settlement group. The first way is manually. When settling documents manually, I select which document I want to settle on one side. Let's say that on the customer side, I want to settle this invoice and this debit note. Then again, on the Payables tab, I manually select against which documents I want to select the customer documents. Now, here you can see that the knockoff amount, which is actually the settlement amount, is by default the balance of the document. However, the knockoff amount can be edited for all the selected documents. As I add and post the entry, adjustment transactions will be created in Accounts Receivable and Accounts Payable modules. Let's go and check what were the transactions created. So I can see that for each settled customer transaction, I have an AR adjustment entry created for the knockoff amount. Now I will go to Accounts Payable and check the adjustment batch created there. Again, 2 documents were settled. And for each of them, an adjustment entry has been created. I can see from the description that the adjustment was created by AR/AP Settlements module. Now let's go back to settlement entry screen. This was the first way to settle documents. The second way is by auto-apply. This is a semi-automated settlement where on one side I select the documents that I want to settle, again manually, as we did the last time. And on the other side, I select the auto-apply checkbox and click Run. Now what happens is that based on the criteria defined in the Order By drop-down, my knockoff amount that was defined on the Receivables tab is then automatically distributed to those payables documents which correspond to the criteria defined here. So in this case, that would be the due date. So the amount is distributed to the documents that have the earliest due date. Again, when I post this transaction, adjustment entries will be created in both accounts receivable and accounts payable modules. The third way to settle documents is automatically. Let's create a new entry. Now, when I click the automatic settlement button, the application calculates total receivables and total payables in the settlement group, settles completely the one which is less, and then settles selected documents on the other side. So this is a warning about what will happen if I proceed with this option. Say I agree. So I can see that my payables were less because all the documents which have non-zero balance have been automatically settled. And on the other side, on the receivables side, I have 3 documents settled. As a result, the unallocated amount is 0. So the entire amount of the settlement, of the payable settlement, is then distributed to receivable documents until the amount becomes 0. Again, as I post this transaction, adjustment entries will be created in AR and AP modules. After creating the settlement entry, you can print the settlement form document to see which documents were settled. You can see the documents settled on both sides. You can use this document to send it to your business partner to let them know which of their documents were settled against each other. This document can also be used to submit to the authorized person for approval. If the document is printed for an entry that has not been posted yet, you can see the draft Word here. Starting from version 2017G, you can also choose to create receipts and payments for those documents in the group that were not settled or were not settled completely. When I select this checkbox, I then define the bank for the AR receipt, bank for the AP payment, and the currencies in which the receipts and payments should be created. So I have all my payables settled, and I have just 3 documents from the receivables settled. So when I post this entry, I will have AR receipts created for the unsettled customer transactions. Let's go and see the created receipt. Okay, we can see that from AO, a receipt was generated for all the unsettled documents. Please note that you do not have to create settlement entries manually every time. And starting from version 2017G, you can create automatic settlement batches for all or range of your settlement groups. The create receipt and payment for the remaining balance option is also here, and if you create settlement entries from this screen, the method of settlement will be automatic. Another benefit of using AR/AP settlements is that you can see the total payables and receivables balances of the settlement group when you are creating AR receipts and AP payments. We have slightly customized the receipt entry and payment entry screens. You can see that this is the familiar AR receipt entry screen with a small addition in the upper right corner. As you select your customer on the transaction entry screen, you can see here to which settlement group it belongs, and you can also see what is the payables balance of all the vendors in the same settlement group. You can see to which settlement group belongs your vendor when you are entering a payment. This time here you see what is the customer's receivables balance in the same settlement group. I would also like to invite your attention to AR/AP settlement reports and inquiries. You can check the overall group balance by printing the settlement group statement report. Let's print it for just 2 groups. You can see here what is the total receivables balance and total payables balance for each group, and you can also see the details about documents, including the outstanding amount of the document. In the end, you can see the entire group total balance and the report total balance, that is the total for all the groups printed on the report. Alternatively, you can use AR/AP inquiry to check what's the balance of customers and vendors in the selected group. You can see what is the balance for each customer and vendor. You can see the total outstanding balance of all the customers and all the vendors in the group. You can see the net of those balances. And if you are more interested in the details, that is the document details of each customer or vendor, you can double click on the customer and you will see the document details. So this particular customer has only one document. The last report I would like to show you is the audit report. You You can print the audit report to see what were the transactions sent to AR and AP modules from AR AP settlements module. Here you can see the AO badge and the corresponding badge created in Accounts Payable or Accounts Receivable module. If receipts or payments were created, you can also see the details about the created receipts and payments. Please also note that starting from version 2018, AR AP Settlements also has web screens. I will just show you how the settlement entry looks like. You can enter the settlement entries and also use all the other screens from web. This is all I wanted to show you today. Thank you for your attendance.